All right, everybody, welcome back to the KSR YouTube channel. And you can tell we're at Will's and we're playing with SoccerMom. Got our transmission over there, and it's a beautiful day in Florida, isn't it, Will?
Oh yeah, lovely.
Lovely, like all day, and it's cold.
It's getting colder.
Like, it's been cold this whole week, which is not cool for us Florida people. And I mean, like, in the 30s cold. Like, the other morning, I think it was Thursday morning, it was like 36 at my house. It's too cold.
But the beer still tastes good.
Cold beer is a good thing, apparently. I wouldn't know. Anyways, so let's get started on this thing and see if we can make a run again, and see if we have more converter charge pressure than what we used to have before. Let's get to it. All right, well, see, we've got our transmission back. The guys at FTI opened her up and took a peek through it and dynoed it to verify that all the pressures are where they're supposed to be. Ended up finding that we had some trash go through the front pump, which kind of singed the clutches in it, as well as we knew the bushings were already kind of worn out from where the input shaft rides. And we run a ringless input shaft for the strength, but that's not as good for sealing converter charge pressure after talking with those guys more. And we're kind of like in that area where they've got input shafts that could possibly work, like a ringed input shaft. And what I mean by a ringed input shaft is it actually has a machined groove in it where a sealing ring goes in. It's not like an O-ring, but it's like a Teflon sealing ring, and there's one on each side of that converter charge feed that I showed you in a previous video. But the bad thing about the ringed shafts is they break right where the ring is machined. So this is probably something we're going to have to be keeping an eye on, and if we see our converter charge pressure fall off, then we know we need to take it out and possibly get a new input shaft, as well as, you know, redo the bushings in the front pump. But hopefully it's all better than what it was. Thanks to the guys at FTI for getting us taken care of. They knocked it out super quick for us, and actually picked it up from me last weekend at the Gator Nationals. And then Will went down there and picked it up Thursday. I think it was Thursday, Friday. And now she's ready to go back in. Got our gear vendor's overdrive bolted back on. Got the Circle D converter back into it, and we're ready to put this thing in. And we might not be able to crank today, like today when I'm filming this, but by the end of this video she's gonna be running, because we might have to go get some fluid. I left the fluid at the shop, not knowing that we needed some over here. But anyways, let's get to work and get this thing slammed back in there, which shouldn't take us too long. We've had this thing in and out a few times, unfortunately, but we did make it easy to work on. So should be not too long on getting it all put back in there. Stay tuned. right, well, she's back in. Drive shaft all in. One thing you should always do when you take your shifter adjustment loose, which you might have seen us do, is double check that the gears are where they're supposed to be. Neutral is neutral, high gear is high gear, and low gear is low gear. Because if not, you can burn up your transmission like that. So, we got the old transmission mated back to our Texas Speed 388. And I think our next race is going to be 8th mile. So that means we're gonna swap back to the 411 gear at some point. But first we wanna crank this thing back up and see what we've got for converter charge pressure compared to our old transmission. But unfortunately, like I said earlier, we don't have any fluid. And we're missing one sensor. We lost our line pressure sensor.
Don't worry.
That goes right there. Tells us what our transmission line pressure is. And I'm curious if any of that changed. Like we used to be making 265, 275 pounds of line pressure and 40 pounds of converter charge pressure. And now we're, see if we make hopefully a little bit more on the converter charge. Will's getting ready to top off the gear vendors.
I think this will fit, but probably all the fluid we got will fill up the whole line.
Fill up the line.
Fill up the line, we won't have any to go in there. I wonder if this...
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna quite get it there, unless that bottle was absolutely slammed full.
Yeah.
Well, I can get some of that too when we go out and get transmission fluid. So this might have to wait until tomorrow. Today's video in just a few seconds, but tomorrow in our time, which I guess it's going to be in the 30s again tomorrow morning, according to Jim. Cold, huh?
Cold.
Dang it, Florida, get your act together. All right, back in just a second. We got fluid. Yes, we use hydraulic oil for transmission fluid. Slower down a little bit.
And get some air in there.
Actually, that's probably fine because we're going to have to fill this again, aren't we?
Yeah, it's going to take probably
That's good.
at least 2 quarts. Or 2
gallons.
2 gallons.
All right, so back next day. Got some fluid. Then we're going to fire this thing up, look at some data, and probably take it for a little spin. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. So, yeah, I guess let's get this thing back down on the ground. Got the hood off of it already, or no?
No.
Ooh, that was already released.
I don't know. It ain't.
Oh, it's on the locks. There we go.
What does that say? Yeah.
Manual locks.
Yeah, this thing leaks down, so it won't.
Gotcha. All right, well, let's top off some fluid and then we'll be back when we're cranking this thing up. Oh, there's the doggies. Ferocious. Well, it's a lot prettier day today, but it's cold. Like in the mid 40s right now, which, like I said, that's not cool for us Florida boys. That's too cold. So, about to crank this thing up. We decided to look at what our previous data was on converter charge pressure, and this might not be 100% of an accurate comparison because the fluid was hot here, but after a dyno pull, let's see, trans temperature was 167, so kind of warm. We probably won't see that right when we fire this thing up, but converter charge pressure was only 23. So, be kind of curious to see what our converter charge pressure is now at idle, and we're gonna have to crank this thing up, fill up the top off the transmission.
So to put it in the air so you can run it through the gears?
Sure.
Because I mean, there ain't nothing in the training.
Yeah, let's lift it up and then we'll go on from there. See, all of our EGTs are ice cold. Manifold air temp, which actually reminds me, I need to add some after start fuel to this thing. That ought to do something.
Trying to fix that little stumble?
Yeah, how it cranks up and then stalls right afterwards.
Yeah.
All right, fire in the hole. You ready?
Yep.
Dang it.
Almost.
Yeah, let's see if it does it this time. There we go. All the EGTs are hot. Converter charge pressure is coming up. Woo! Whoa, Nelly. 125. Have to put a regulator on that. That's a little much. So it's a little higher than I'd like to see, but it's also like ice cold. So maybe as the fluid gets a little heat into it, it may come down a little bit. Just gotta keep an eye on it. All right, reverse works. Check it. See what it looks like after. We're trying to get the transmission temp up to like 100 or something. You see it's already coming down some. But that's showing we fixed something. Woo! Hey, if this fixes what this transmission, the problem this transmission's had for so long, that could be awesome. That could be real awesome. So we're gonna go through, warm this up. We'll show you what's going on in just a second. All right, here we go. Out for a little street drive in SoccerMom. Hello, doggies. There's something just fun about taking your race car out on the street. You can probably see it in my face. So we're gonna go for a little drive, possibly out to Kimber's house. And see how this thing does. Woo. Yeah, we're pretty proud of our old hot rod. Seems fun. Just the overdrive. We're driving a proven mid 7-second car across town, just cruising, heading over to a buddy's house. My favorite part's the overdrive though. We'll let those guys run off a little bit. Arby's, go through the drive-thru. And that's gonna wrap up this video. Taking the old streetcar out for a little afternoon stroll. Yeah. Just enjoying our little hot rod.
Steers like a Mack truck.
Steers like a Mack truck, but you gotta go faster. It steers better when you're going faster.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
All right, well, appreciate everybody watching and subscribing. See you guys next time.